So today we're looking at the gift of givingness, or the gift of giving. And so yesterday, on the 4th of July, I happened to be in the company of somebody whose whole life is the gift of giving. And no greater example of giving could you find on this plane just now, as in His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And it causes us a great wonder when you're in that man's presence to see how humbleness truly is, how greatness truly is, how holiness truly is, and how natural and normal and ordinary life truly is, especially when it comes to giving. No greater example that I know is on this plane at the moment, visibly on this plane at the moment, or out there in the world at the moment. There may be others who are in disguise, of course. I hope so. We need it all. But this man will be celebrating his 80th birthday tomorrow, and he laughs at the whole idea of birthdays anyway. He says we're so attached to calendars, you know, a year, a month, a week. He says the only real focus is the day, and every day is a birthday. Every day is a birthday. I'll go for that. Just think of it, 365 gifts every day. To be given. To be given. To be given. And so, in this man's givingness to life back onto itself, his message constantly and steadily remains the same. We are all not just responsible for our own lives, or the lives of our family and friends, or the lives of the people that come into our, our circle of experience. We are responsible for 7 billion plus. That's what the Dalai Lama commissions us with. That's what he himself has taken on in his life. Oh, he says, as far as religious doctrine and dogmas and all of that, he says, don't pay any attention to that, he said. Just pay attention at being a good neighbor. Just focus your energies on being a good neighbor. And it will be an amazing thing that will happen. And so he brings it back, of course, the title of his 3 days here, his talks for 3 days, will be Peace and Compassion, or Peace Through Compassion. And he's always been that way inclined. And he says, America is a great, great country, and it has much to give. I mean, and I'm using my own words interpreting his sharing yesterday. It's a great place, the United States of America, and it's a leader. But he said, it would be an amazing thing to see America leading in advanced science, the science of maturation. He himself is in a discussion with quantum physicists and so on, and they're putting together a program to enable us to grow up, literally, to mature, to catch up with our mental advancement, our intellectual advancement. And as a consequence, the world would be a very much more safe place if we could only mature and grow up. Now, he didn't say it like that. He says everything in a lovely way, in a way that you have to think twice, oh yeah, that's what he meant. And so he is saying that this is the next great barrier that we all have to break through, the barrier of growing up, maturing, and to stop behaving ourselves like infants sometimes, and at best maybe juveniles or whatever, but to catch the consciousness of what it is to match an emotion or a feeling with an advanced intellectual capacity. And that's the challenge he gave us all here. He said, can you imagine how the United States could be a phenomenal leader in this if we do the work and we put our backs into it and we hone that science of maturation as far as emotional energy is concerned. Because it's the emotional energy that truly gets us into trouble if you think about it. Our mind says one thing and our emotions cause us to say another. Our minds tell us to respond in one way and our emotions tell us to respond in another, and so forth. So we got to get the two capacities that you and I have to sync with each other, we're always syncing our equipment, aren't we? We want this to sync with that, and that has to sync with this, and everything has to sync with the cloud, and so on and so forth. Well, we need to sync ourselves into that celestial cloud, and be able, as a consequence of that, to achieve all kinds of great good things. All kinds of great good things. So education, he pushes. Education. Give yourself up to education, supporting it and being educated yourself. And in that givingness too, he points out that, human beings are very interesting. He was asked questions at the end, and, always love is the answer in the Dalai Lama's book and in all of our books. Love is the answer. But he says, I'm not talking about, the love that you have for your friends, the love that you have for your family, the love that you have for those whom you like. He says, the animal kingdom is the same in this. That the animal kingdom can do that. They can love their own, take care of their own, and that's it. But we are supposed to love the 7 billion plus. 7 billion plus, if we're going to get this thing straight, this thing called life. And we were called to do that. And I gave an example of animals, actually, who live in this wonderful, it's an open area where animals get to roam free, but it's taken care of. And he says it's interesting to see lions living alongside of deer. And the lions are not using the deer for their dinner. The lions and the deer live okay alongside of each other because they're all well fed. The lions are well fed. So the lions don't go after other species when they're well fed, unlike the human species. Unlike the human species. We're the only species that does that, it seems. So the call is, for heaven's sakes, live every day as a birthday. Live every day as a birthday. And then, in that birthday, ask yourself, what gift do I bring to the world today as I celebrate my birthday? What gift will I bring to the world today on my birthday? Can you imagine how life would change if on our special gift days, we were the ones that brought the gifts and not others in celebration of ourselves? If we were the ones that brought the gifts instead of expecting gifts from others, how different this world would be. Can you imagine if children were taught at an early age, it's your birthday, you get to give gifts to all your friends? I know, it seems impossible. But it's not. If we were raised like that, that's how we'd be. That's how we'd be. But Mommy and Daddy has to be prepared to do the same thing on their birthday so that they can show to the children that example. We bring to others on our birthday instead of expecting others to bring to us, you see. And gifts required will always be written on the card for you. Gifts required, but you have to bring them. It's a novel idea. I think it's a good one. That's what came to me anyway this morning after listening to the Dalai Lama, how lovely that would be, because he invited us to make every day a different day by creating some good in it consciously, being of some use and good in the day consciously, doing something, being something every day consciously to raise the energy in our world, to raise the energy in our world. Now he said faith is very important. Extremely important. Spiritual practice is very important. But not just the spiritual practice of meditation. He's talking about the spiritual practice of showing up as your best self. It's easy to sit down and do a spiritual practice and read a spiritual book and go to a spiritual gathering and do all of that. That's the easy part. But being in spiritual practice out there in the marketplace, that's a whole different thing. And that's your spiritual practice and mine. And so to consciously, at least to begin with, make a decision to do one good, to give and bring one good thing to life today. No matter how you're feeling, no matter what's going on, no matter what disaster you're in the middle of, you pause button on that, you say, oh yeah, now it's my time to bring a gift to the world, to create some good in the world, even if it's only through a beautiful vibration that you're entertaining within yourself. And not only, but that's the most wonderful thing we could do. Meditation, he said, we must be open to that, the stillness and the quietness and the ability to shut out the outer noise and to listen within to that wisdom and that grace and that power and that wonderful intelligence that's there available to us. In fact, he had us do a 5-minute meditation in the middle of his talk, and it was beautiful. And he said this, and I loved it: practice at it, keep showing up, keep doing it. He said, it took me between 50 and 60 years to get from meditation what can be got from meditation. And he said, it's still hard. It's still hard. So be consoled, all of us, and keep open to the possibility that in time it'll all work out, and all you have to do is show up. Now, you've heard this over and over again, that 80% of success is showing up. Showing up. You know what I love? I love the story about the man with regard to giving. He was a homeless man, and he was hungry and he needed food. And he was passing a house one day, and he got the courage to go up and knock on the door. And the lady who opened the door to him gave him a wonderful meal, and he was very grateful for it. And as he was walking down the steps of the house to go, she said, you know what? She says, if you really are sincere about your gratitude, she said, when the snow comes, maybe one day you could sweep the snow away, and you would feel good about that, and that would be your gratitude indeed. And she went in the door, didn't think any more about it. First snowfall, one morning very early, she looks out the bedroom window, and that gentleman is just finishing sweeping away the last part of the snow. And she waves to him, and he tips his tattered cap to her, and off he goes. Well, he just didn't do it once, but he did it 3 more times as the snow came. And he never looked for anything. He never asked for anything. He didn't want anything in return. A noble soul. A man who understood what it was to give without seeking any reward. And I love stories like that. He outshone the generosity of his benefactor. He went the extra mile. Let me tell you about that extra mile. I was reminded recently of that by Wayne Dwyer. He said, always when you're aware of it and can, choose the road less traveled. He said it's not very congested at all. There aren't that many people on it. He said because the people who are on it are the ones who go the extra mile. He said, but they're great company when you meet up with them. And if you really are into wanting to make a contribution, truly desirous of making a contribution and putting in to life and serving life in this way and saving life in this way, go the extra mile. Go the extra mile, like that man did. Remember, success doesn't always equal greatness. And greatness doesn't always equal success. There are some very successful people, but I wouldn't call them great. They wouldn't qualify for that title in my book. But like this homeless man, he would qualify as great in my book. He would qualify as noble in my book. Giving is an amazing thing. When it gets into your system, when it gets into the marrow of your bones, you just don't think about it anymore, and you don't think about, I'm giving. Oh, I need to give now. It becomes an automatic way of life and living. It truly does. But it's not going to happen for those of us who are caught up in a mad rush to success. Mad rush to success. Whatever that looks like, whether it looks like gathering stuff and things, gathering people of importance, gathering money, gathering fame, gathering notoriety, whatever it is, I think success looks like, whatever that is, it can become very mindless. So much so that we don't even see the people around us who are in need, the people around us who are in distress. We don't even see them. So, of course, we're not going to pause and stop and help because we don't even see them. We're so caught up in the marketplace of achieving success. And yet, any good deed returns to us pressed down and spilling over. And you hear it and it's true. And you know it in yourself. The giver receives more than the one who receives when it's given from a good heart, when it's given in joy, when it's given in delight, when it's given in pleasure. And the best of all giving is anonymous giving. As the scriptures say, never let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. There's wisdom to that. We're not always able to do that for whatever reason, but it is the best of all giving. Anonymous giving is the best kind of giving. It's divine. It's the holiest of giving. Anonymous giving is. But any kind of giving is beautiful and wonderful, and all giving is rewarded. It comes back to us. Now, remember too, to live the noble life is not just about giving. To live a great life is not just about succeeding in being the generous person and so on and so forth. It's about who I am while I am giving. How do people perceive me? How do I show up? How do they hear me? How do they see me? What kind of energy do they feel from me? And what is their lasting impression of me? Anybody's. It's never what I'm doing, no matter how good it is. It's always about who I am while I'm doing it. The who I am is more important than the what I'm doing. And we are called to be like that great one and all the great ones out there, like the Mother Teresas and the Gandhis and the Dalai Lamas and so on. It's the same greatness we all have. And when the Dalai Lama says, I never see myself as the Dalai Lama, I don't think about myself as the Dalai Lama. I think about myself as an ordinary person, the same as everybody else, endeavoring to do the best that I can do to bring some kind of peace to the world through compassionate ways of dealing with each other. See, isn't that a wonderful thing? He does not have that sense of himself as a Dalai Lama or as a great one or as somebody apart from other people. It's not how he sees himself. But some of us give us any little bit of power, give us any little bit of greatness, and look at me and who I am, and don't you know whom you're speaking with now? Hey, make way, make space for me. It goes right to our head, any little bit of that. I remember some writer once, it was a professor, and I can't remember who exactly it was, but he said, with regard to Hollywood and fame, he says, Hollywood fame stunts growth it stops you from growing up. It stops you from growing up, except in very exceptional cases. Hollywood fame stops you from growing up. Does our success stop us from growing up? Does our achievements and accomplishments stop us from growing up? What would that mean? It would mean that I think myself a little bit better than, as the Pharisee in the temple said, when he saw a tax collector come in through the door and stand at the back of the temple because he didn't feel worthy to be anywhere else except just at the back of it. And the tax collector was saying, "Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner." And the Pharisee was up on the topmost step and he was going, "Oh God, I thank you that you have not made me like the rest of men, like this fellow down there at the back of the temple." And then Jesus says, "Who do you think went home more justified in the eyes of God that day?" Well, it certainly wasn't the Pharisee, was it? But we can be very Pharisaic too at times. Come on now. We can. As my mother would say, "You're getting beyond yourself, child." Ah. And sometimes we get beyond ourselves. We do. We get beyond ourselves. And when you come into the presence of somebody who is as humble and as human in such a divine way and as ordinary as he can be and as welcoming and as kind and above all as smiley. He never stops smiling. Never stops smiling. And I mean, a Dalai Lama, His Holiness, who can eat a Snickers birthday cake, really goes up in my estimation. I'm sure he was suffering from a sugar rush for the rest of the day because he's not used to that. But he cut himself a big slice of the cake, and then he says, "Oh, it's too big." And then he just took a little mouthful and had it just to honor those who had given him the cake. And I believe he's going to have an 8-foot cake in his grand gathering of all the people that are going to go see him in the next 2 days. But very wonderful and lovely and welcoming and making everybody feel like they too are a Dalai Lama. Now, if you and I can do that, we're doing something amazing. We're doing something grand, something amazing. And we're just doing it by simply what? Being ourselves. And that's all he would tell you to be. People say to me, "Well, what would you say to a Dalai Lama?" and so on. And I just say, be yourself. What would you say to anyone? Just be yourself, whatever it is. Spontaneity is the rule. Just be yourself. Be yourself. And you can be. And you know what? You feel so safe and you feel so secure in the presence of these wonderful people. Very safe, very secure. And yet at the same time, you know the kind of world we're living in when after the Dalai Lama has departed the complex that he was in, out of the trees come these camouflaged, rifle-holding Marines. Looked like Marines. They were in khaki, they had guns everywhere, and they had big rifles, and a dog. The dog wasn't in the trees. But you go suddenly, you've just been in this great energy and this peaceful, and you go, and then you realize, okay, we know where we are and what we're dealing with, and so on, and so on. And so vigilance is always called for. But within the vigilance, you and I know wherever I am on this earth, I am safe. Wherever I am on this planet, I am secure. Wherever I am on this beautiful creation, I am divinely protected. And you go about the business of your day, and that's what you do. So we come back to what? We come back to connection and engagement and how we're all part of each other and we're all one family, the human race. And like at Erlumpet, they're all our siblings and we have to include them in the good wishes that we have for everyone. No matter what that looks like, we can wish everybody well. The message is peace on earth and goodwill to all, from the goodwill within ourselves. And doing that is a splendid thing to do. Being that is even more splendid in our way of putting in and giving back and contributing to life as it could be lived, can be lived, but only by means of you and me being all that we can be. And so it is.